Solo board gaming night here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Lord of the Rings, the card game LCG. As always, I like to give you an overhead view of the table so you get an idea of how much space this game takes up. And honestly, although the game expands during gameplay, it really doesn't take much space at all whatsoever. With that out of the way, let's go straight to the box and see what's inside. The box art has a Lord of the Rings feel with a dark and gloomy tone to it, kind of foreboding what's going to happen to you with the challenges ahead. It does a good job explaining what the game contains as well. When you actually open the box itself, everything fits in very nicely. I even have 4 expansion packs that, even while sleeved, I was able to fit each and every single one of them in the card wells included. However, if I want to expand my game any more than this, I will have to find an alternate storage solution. This game includes not 1, but 2 rulebooks to teach you how to play this game. One focuses on how to actually teach you the game mechanics, giving you clear examples on how each phase works. However, there's a second, more detailed one that focuses on the key terms, gives you charts, and even framework details on the individual phases themselves. There is a lot that you need to learn in this game, and it is not easy to learn it all. The actual component quality is basic Fantasy Flight. Very good card quality, very good token quality, and the art looks great. And that's everything included inside the box. With that out of the way, since the game's been out for 10 years already, I'm just going to go right into just the basics on how to play it. The first phase is called the resource phase. In this phase, each hero receives 1 resource token and draws a card and adds it to their hand. The second phase is the planning phase. This is where you're actually going to be purchasing cards and either adding attachments to your heroes or adding allies to your group. During the quest stage, you're going to take a look at the staging area. On the upper left corner of each card, there's going to be a threat. You add it together, and that's how much willpower you're going to have to use to be able to defeat those quests. You're going to be able to exhaust characters using their willpower and hopefully overcome the threat. You then add another encounter card to the staging area and add up the threat between all of the cards. That's going to determine how much threat you have to defeat. In this case, I fell short by 1 willpower, causing me to raise my threat by 1. This is how you complete quest. If I would have been successful, any leftover points would have gone to the quest. During the travel phase, you're going to grab a travel card that's in the staging area and activate it. That makes the threat level null and void. It will no longer count against you towards a quest. But make sure that you look at the bottom text for any benefits or negative effects that the card may cause. Also, while a location is active, you must complete that quest before any points or progress points are added to the main quest. During the encounter phase, you're going to do what's called an engagement check. You're going to look at the upper left number of any enemy in the staging area and compare it to your current threat. If it's equal or less than your current threat, it becomes engaged with your group of heroes. Always make sure to read the text to see if the enemy has any when revealed or abilities in their text that need to be activated before placing them near your heroes. You're now ready to battle. During the combat phase, you're going to deal a shadow card to each enemy engaged to the heroes. Then you're going to determine which hero is going to defend against the attack. You're going to look at the defense value of the hero and negate that from the actual attack power from the enemy. Flip over the shadow card, and if there's a shadow effect, make sure to add that to the enemy's attack. In this case, our hero was going to receive 1 point of damage from the attack. From here, choose which hero you would like to attack. Look at the attack value of the hero, exhaust them, subtract the defense value from the enemy defending, and add any access attack damage as damage to the actual enemy card. During the refresh phase, remove any shadow cards, ready any exhausted heroes or cards that you have in your possession. Grab the threat marker and increase it by 1. And that's it. That's how you play Lord of the Rings LCG. From here, you just keep rinsing and repeating every phase until you either win or lose. You lose by reaching level 50 in the threat, or if all your heroes are eliminated. And you win if you're able to complete all of the quests by adding progress points to it before any of those things happen. So what were my thoughts on this revision of the Lord of the Rings LCG? There's a lot to get behind here, and a lot of it has to do with a certain comparison that I'm pretty sure you all have in mind. But that's going to be for a future video, although I may touch on that here and there. But I want to talk about the actual deck building aspect of this game. Now, if you notice, each of the heroes has a different sphere of influence. And you can mix and match these spheres of influences to create all sorts of different types of decks that have different types of abilities and cards that could do different things depending if you want to go with questing, if you want to do things when it comes to combat. Sometimes you want to add attachments to your characters. And some cards are only able to be purchased, for example, indicated here, by the hero with that shares the same sphere of influence. And that, in my opinion, is where the deck building aspect of Lord of the Rings really excels. It's almost, personally, it felt like the deck building aspect of the game was a game all of its own. And it was like 2 games in one: the actual playing the game and the building the deck to make your heroes more effective. Now, one thing I will say, and I recommend this actually, my advice is don't go into the deck building straight away. Play the game with the starting deck that the game provides, and then work your way into actually changing the sphere of influences. And the reason that I say that is because you're not going to really get a good idea of what the game expects and how it plays until you've done it a few times and you get yourself acquainted with the cards and the abilities and the things that the cards do. That's when, once you start getting once you familiarize yourself with the cards and the abilities, that's when you're able to really create these custom decks. And that's one of the things that Lord of the Rings kind of knocks out of the park. I mean, it's so much fun if you're into that. If you're not into that, you can just go ahead and actually just use the starting deck that's already pre-built for you. Whatever works for you, you can do it either way. But personally, I think this game's deck building aspect is one of the high points and really makes this game shine. I'm going to be alternating between pros and cons, and you just heard a pro, but I'm going to go and head over to the con. And the con is going to be with the rulebooks themselves. It's not that they were poorly made. As a matter of fact, they've given you plenty of information. I mean, more information than well, I wouldn't say more information than you need, but there is plenty of information in these rulebooks, in which there are 2 of them, one that teaches you how to play the game, and one a rulebook in which you refer to when you have a specific question. But there's actually some really important information that's within the rule reference, when it comes to like charts that tell you the action windows, because this game has a lot of action windows, but they're not open always. And that reference guide really helped me know when I was able to activate certain abilities that I had played whenever I've purchased it. And going back to purchasing it, the purchasing amount is here, and you just use your resources if you're using the same character with the same sphere of influence to purchase the card. and you just either add the ally or put them underneath the character. But yeah, the rule reference was really helpful when it came to those action windows, because this game, unfortunately, although it has a lot of well written explanations, there is a lot to learn, and this is definitely, absolutely not beginner friendly at all. And it's gonna actually contradict a future point I have later on in the review. But I will say that this game has a lot of keywords. There's a lot of keywords and a lot of traits, and a lot of things that you have to know. There's a lot of little small minute intricacies, little details that you have to really know about when it comes to questing, when it comes to revealing an enemy. If there's a timing when it comes to response, or when does this activate, or when does that activate, and it's all explained in the rule book, but it's you have to search for it, you have to look for it. I will say that if you came off of Marvel Champions, it's going to be much easier for you to ease yourself into this. But I felt that the rulebook was very wordy, and for me, I was able to do it, and I was fine. I just don't think that if I was a beginner playing this game, that rulebook, that was that there's a lot to learn. A lot to learn. So I don't know exactly if the rulebook could have been done better, because it's there's two different ones to help you learn how to play the game, and they both serve different purposes. My thing is that this game just has a lot that you need to know, and it's not until you really familiarize yourself very well with this game when it starts flowing. But up until that point, it may be an uphill battle, learning how to play the game. And I would say maybe it may be less about the rule book and more about just how many rules you have to know. And you need to keep that in mind. That may be a pro and that may be a con for you, but I took it more as a con, only because if you were a beginner coming into this game, you have quite the uphill battle to go against. And I just wanted to keep you informed when it comes to that. And going back to that contradiction that I mentioned earlier, this pro is actually going to contradict that rulebook con, as a matter of fact. And it's because the game is actually, once you learn how to play it and you familiarize yourself with the game's a lot easier than the rulebook makes it out to be, which is like, it's kind of mind boggling. And one of the things I'm going to just show you over here, and I'm going to show you this chart. This chart, when you look at this chart for the first time, that chart is absolutely intimidating. And not only that, you're going to go ahead and look at the framework details, and you're going to look at all that information in your mind. I felt intimidated at first. I really did. However, as I kept playing the game, I started realizing this is not nearly as difficult as the rulebook made it out to be. Like, I don't know if it could have maybe been presented differently. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. But as I was playing it, and yeah, that first game was slow, referring back to the rule reference and the learn to play, just to make sure I had things down packed, because I wanted to play it right. But as I was playing it, I was like, actually, this is kind of really simple. And I believe it's in the Let's Play. Yeah, there's a quick reference. There's also a player reference card, which I love when games have, and I just like the one in the back of the Learn to Play more. But yeah, I felt that the game itself is much easier to play than the rule book makes it seem. So I kind of see that as a positive, and maybe it's just me playing a lot of Marvel Champions that kind of got me acquainted to it. But this is completely different than Marvel Champions. That's another thing that I'll touch on in a little bit. But my point is that the game is seriously not as difficult as the rule books make it out to look. And I just wanted to bring that out to your attention, because wow, really, as I was playing it, I was just going. I was questing. I was engaging. I was traveling. I was engaging. I was fighting. It was a smooth experience, and the game actually goes by really quick as you move along. So yeah, I think it's much easier than the rulebook makes it out to be. However, although the game is actually easy to play, this game is absolutely brutal. This game is brutal. It does not care about your feelings at all whatsoever. If you just came home from work and you just want something relaxing to calm you down and wind down your day, this might not be this game is tense, incredibly tense, and it does not care if it beats you down to a pulp. I'm telling you, some of these games, a lot of my games, I'm going to say, it's almost the very first round, something happens, and from there, it's just an uphill battle the whole way through, and it is nonstop. Threats going up, heroes getting damaged, losing key allies, having to discard key attachments that I have worked so hard to place on my heroes, only to lose them. It's insane, the insanity that goes on in here, and it's brutal. And there's also going with the difficulty. Remember, there's a lot of keywords you're gonna have to. There's a lot of keywords that you're gonna have to keep up with, and as you add more to the game, I'm guessing it's gonna get even crazier. But that also adds to the difficulty of not that just sometimes you have to stop and question. Wait, what does this do again? And you kind of just have to make sure. But yeah, this game is absolutely challenging. It is not an easy game at all. And I'm not going to place this as either a con or a pro. I'm just going to place this as a you need to know this game will destroy you. It doesn't care if you had a bad day at work. It will destroy you when you get home from work. So just know that this is not an easy game. But personally, I do enjoy the challenges that this game has, because if a game's too easy and you're going to play and win all the time, what's the point of playing? But if I'm going to play and I have to really strategize and think about what I'm going to do next, and sometimes I have to improvise because maybe I made out a plan and something comes out from the encounter deck and completely ruins that plan, well, I'm going to have to improvise and change my tactics a little bit. And if I was winning all the time, it wouldn't be fair. Or if it was an easy game the whole time, and I'm always ahead, then what's the point? But this game, it's constantly, you're struggling. And in that way, I kind of like it, because if you watch the movies, or I haven't really read the books other than The Hobbit, but if you watch the movies, you see that they're always in an uphill battle. It's not really a happy movie. They're always struggling, and there's one problem after the next, and that's just how this game feels. And I really personally think it's a great feeling, but it may be a turnoff to you. And another thing, that I don't think it's a pro or a con, because the game is great, but the theme, although it looks like Lord of the Rings, and there are cards and characters that absolutely feel like Lord of the Rings, sometimes the theme wasn't there for me, and I just can't quite put my finger on it. But sometimes, yeah, I mean, you could see Gandalf, right? Like, oh yeah, Gandalf. But it's just sometimes I didn't feel the theme as much as I was, I guess, expecting. Not to say it wasn't there, and there are heroes that act like the way certain heroes would act, but just that sometimes the theme on some of the cards, I just didn't feel it. It wasn't all the time, but it was sometimes, and like I said, I can't quite put my finger on it, but me personally, that's how I felt. Now, once again, it looks like it has a feeling of it. It really does, but sometimes the theme just missed just a little bit, just a really, really little bit. And I don't know, it's just how I felt. And I think mainly it comes to the cards. And some cards were very thematic, and some not so much. And I think that's a mix. Not anywhere here nor there, but something you need to know. Now, there's two things I want to touch on before I end this review. And one of those things is about the LCG nature of this game. Now, this is a game that I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I wanted to not like. And the reason that I didn't want to like it is because I've lived through Marvel Champions, and thankfully I hopped on board Marvel Champions early on. This one, however, I'm late to the party, although this is a revision, and I'm pretty sure they're going to start re-releasing things. The fact that I feel like I have to start all over again because I do like it is kind of it's kind of depressing feeling. I was like, oh, here we go again. A pack here, a pack there, and before you know it, it really adds up. But being an LCG game, keep in mind that if you really want to make the most out of this game, you're probably going to have to invest into it every now and then if you want to keep it fresh. And talking about keeping it fresh, the replayability, and I'm going to actually talk about the core game itself. And I'm going to be honest. I think what really carries this game is the deck building aspect of it. And I love the questing. However, there's only three different quests or missions that are included in the core box, and that's enough, especially when you get to change your heroes and play it a different way. And this, but my problem with that is there are no like modules that you can add on to it. Like Marvel Champions had some modules that you could add up at least to change things up slightly. It seems to me that every mission is what it is. You're going to play a mission, and once you beat it, yeah, you can play it again. It is replayable because it's fun, but you already know what to expect. Once you do it once, especially once you beat it, you know what cards are going to come out, more or less, which kind of makes the deck building aspect even easier and kind of like more fun in some ways, but you already know what to expect. And there's only 3 of them, and in order to add to it, you're going to have to start going to what my previous point was, the LCG aspect of it, which is buying more expansions to make the game feel fresh. And yeah, I know every game gets stale eventually, but I just wanted to bring that out to you because I feel that it has plenty of content and it's good and I loved it and I enjoyed it, but the replayability may not be as strong as other aspects of this game. And I mean, it's only fair to know. I'm being truthful. Now they're fun, and that's a good thing. The missions are fun, but they're limited. And I don't know. I mean, there's a few changes that you could go through here or there. Like you might go this way, you might go that way. But overall, it's still the same if you kind of catch my drift. So yeah, I just wanted to say that maybe the replayability is not as strong in Lord of the Rings, but still an excellent game. And I just had to show this because this was on my mind the whole entire time. Does Gandalf remind anyone, any Marvel Champions player, of anyone in particular? Like maybe Nick Fury? Put them side by side. Sometimes I was like, well, almost the same character. Almost. I'm not saying it's the same character, but the abilities felt so similar. And that's how I want to actually leave this review or end it. That although there are similarities between Lord of the Rings and Marvel Champions, I believe that Lord of the Rings does a great job standing out. I want to say that Marvel Champions is probably the more streamlined of the two. But this game actually, I love the challenge. I like that it was a little bit more involving than Marvel Champions. But that's a video for another day. For now, I just want to let you know that I enjoyed my time with Lord of the Rings, the card game. I really, really did not expect it. I wanted to kind of not like it. I ended up kind of loving it. That's going to hurt my wallet in the future, but that's what it is. I'm here to play and look for games, and I found this game, and it was fun, and I can't deny it. It was fun, and I'm definitely going to add a few more things to it. So yeah, if you're into LCG, if you like Marvel Champions, know that this is probably definitely much more challenging than that. Not saying that Marvel Champions isn't challenging, because it is, but this one's, I think, a little more challenging than Marvel Champions. If you like that, give this a chance. If you like Lord of the Rings, I think you're going to love it. I had a great time with it personally. So that's it for me. This is Solo Board Gaming Night. Once again, thank you for coming out and hanging out with me. It's always a blast just talking with you all, and I don't know, it's just fun to share this hobby with everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great game night. Take care.